Be on the lookout for Bandalism, a Magic City music forum brought to you by Bring Your Own Headphone Productions, a podcast that brings you the raw truth about musicians in the Magic City, their lives, their stories, the road they traveled to get where they are. Some good, some bad, but now they'll relive the journey. It was what it is. Jazz, country, and good old rock and roll. But we can't forget what I like to listen to when I'm sitting on the porch drinking my vodka lemonade. The blues. A weekly podcast brought to you by Bring Your Own Headphone Productions. Hello. Welcome to Bandalism. This is a podcast about musicians in Billings, Montana. I just wanted to touch base on a few questions that I get when we play in the bars or outdoors, wherever we're playing, and about the band D'Tective, which is I've been in for 50 years now. But a lot of people ask, when did the band start? Well, I'm going to go back to the beginning. The members of D'Tective right now are Trent Visconti, Sam Contreras, and Crown Cantu, and myself. And me and Sam started the band in 1975. I mean, it's a funny story. His brother taught me how to play guitar, and he says, well, you should get a hold of my brother, Sam. He's a drummer, and he's a great drummer, and you guys should start a band. So I called Sam. Back then there was no cell phones. I called Sam and says, hey, your brother Gary says we should get in a band. Sam thought, well, that's a great idea. So we decided to meet at a keg. There was a kegger going on in some guy's garage, and so we got together, and I walk into the kegger, and I look around, and there's only one Mexican there, but he had 2 casts on his wrists. And I thought, yeah, that ain't no drummer. So we sat there for a while, and finally Sam came over to me and says, hey, are you Rod? And I said, yeah, are you Sam? And he says, yeah. And I thought, oh my God, how in the hell do you play drums with 2 casts on your wrists? He says, I just shoved my sticks down my casts and play. Got together, we jammed. It was great. He was really good. And it was even better when he took the casts off. So we formed the band. Didn't have a name yet. We needed a bass player. So Sam says, well, I've heard about this guy. He goes to Rocky Mountain College. And don't forget, I'm only 15 then. He goes to Rocky Mountain College. His name is Crown, and we should go talk to him. I says, okay, sounds great. So we go up to Rocky, walk into the student union place and say, hey, we're looking for Crown. They go, oh, Horatio. Well, he's down in room number 5, whatever. So we go down there, knock on the door. Charlie Cagle, a good friend of Crown's, opens the door, and smoke billows out. And right away I thought, well, we're probably going to get along okay. So we get together and we jam, and it turned out fantastic, and we decided to form a band, and we thought, well, we need one more guitar player, because I just definitely wasn't going to cut it alone. So this guy that used to practice in a band right down the street from my folks, his name was Pat Muir. I knew the guys that really kind of had the band. I knew his brother, and we were good friends. So I listened to him practice. I said, man, that guy needs to be in the band. So I talked to him. He agreed. We rolled his equipment over to my garage, and we started practicing. And that is when we needed a name. And we named it Airborn. And we were Airborn until 1979, which is 4 years. And we played all kinds of places, high school dances. We even played a couple of the bars, even though I was a little too young. But anyway, it was Airborn. We played some great stuff. And then in 1979 is when we decided to change our name to D'Tective. Pat Muir was no longer with us. And Paul Rodriguez was in the band. And we decided to change our name to D'Tective. Craig Sen joined the band later. And he was with us for 30-some years. I don't know, 34, 35 years. And recently he is no longer with the band, and we have Trent Visconti, myself, Crown Cantu, and Sam. So pretty much the original lineup except for one member. So, and if you do that right now, that's 49 years, and next year it's going to be 50 years. So we'll probably have some kind of big get-together. But 50 years, local band, D'Tective, classic rock. I've been told that we're probably the longest running classic rock band that's ever been in Billings. I don't know if that's true, but it could be. I wouldn't doubt it, actually. A little bit about the band. I'm going to say it's classic rock and roll. A lot of the songs that we play now, we learned back when they were original back in the 70s and 80s. Now, since we brought Trent Visconti in the band, which is a great singer, great guitar player, we do a lot different stuff, which is fantastic. We put a twist of Southern rock in there. Trent sings some great Leonard Skinner and Robin Trower and stuff. So it's been a joy to kind of change the direction of the band. Now we're still going, 50 years into it. We're just basically playing outdoors. So if you get a chance to hear us, it will be outdoors in a live concert situation. And I would love to see you guys there. And if you do, just say, hey, I saw you on the podcast. But anyway, back to this. We don't travel. We stay in town. We play the stuff we want to play, and hopefully it's the stuff you guys want to hear. But back in the 70s and 80s, music was a lot different then, and it was a lot more guitar oriented, so it fits our style way better. The current music or new music isn't quite the same. And a lot of it, there's a lot of high vocals and vocalises, some of the stuff we can't do. But now we've added Trent's girlfriend, Samantha, in. She's a female vocalist, and we can do a bunch of stuff that we couldn't do without a female vocalist, and I just love it. We do some originals. She sings one that I wrote during the pandemic. It's called I'm Insane. She does a great job. We do another original that I wrote a while ago called Change Your Ways. So we're going to do some songwriting. So we'll have some original stuff, which will be great. And I hope that you guys will come and see us. I really do. But anyway, back to the story. That reminds me of a song by REO Speedwagon, As the Story Goes. But back to D'Tective Airborn. Being in a rock and roll band for 50 years, especially when you're a teenager, when you start, it's interesting. And you have a lot of stories, a lot of road stories. We did go on the road for a while. It's a great memory, and I probably wouldn't trade it for the world. But I'm not going to get into the stories right now. Later on down the road, I'll have a podcast with the guys, with the members of the band from Airborn and D'Tective, and we can talk about the stories. Just recently, I did a podcast with Trent Visconti and Bob Whitmer. And they were in a band called Eddie Leach, and we shared a bunch of stories that they had in the band, and it was fantastic. And I really enjoyed it. Just recently, we did a 90s reunion down at the pub station, which was a lot of the local bands from Billings back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Well, Eddie Leach played there, and they're one of my favorite bands. They did a bunch of really good blues. I liked it. It was really good. Another band that was there was Soma, which of course everybody will remember if they were around back in the 80s and 90s, and those guys were fantastic and some great players. But I'll do that later on down the road, because these podcasts, if you start talking about all your memories, they're going to be hours long because there was so much fun back in those days. But anyway, back to the question I had, how long has D'Tective been together? Well, 50 years next year. In 2025, it'll be 50 years from 1975, which is when me and Sam started the band. So if you've been listening to us for a long time, I really appreciate it, and I thank you very much. Like I said, we only play outdoors now, so next summer, if you get a chance to come and listen to us, if you hear about us playing at a bike night or at one of the bars, outdoor parties they have, or even like brews and barbecues, things like that, please come and hear us. And then you can kind of think back, oh man, these guys played that song when it first came out. Some Aerosmith, something like that. And it'll bring back a ton of memories, and we'd love to share them with you. So again, I'm Rod. This is Bandalism. Thanks for tuning in. And there's more to come, so join us or friend us, whatever you call it nowadays, or like us on Facebook. Thank you.